The world feels a little quieter now, a little less brilliant, a little more ordinary since the day Mr. Stobbe passed from it. It's difficult to explain how someone can leave such an enormous crater in your life when they were never a parent, never a sibling, never a best friend, but rather your English teacher. But Greg Stobbe wasn't just my teacher. He was the first person who truly saw me, the real me, the girl with ink on her hands, fire in her mind, and a fragile, trembling belief that her voice might be worth something someday. He saw the version of me that shouldn't just be allowed to exist. And he championed her. He told her she mattered, and he never would let her forget it. Mr. Stobbe taught me many things: grammar, narrative structure, and how to read a sonnet out loud without making it sound like a grocery list. He taught us the music of language, the architecture of argument, and the weight of, placing a comma in the right place. But the most important thing he ever taught me was something far deeper, far quieter, so embedded in who he was that he didn't even need to say it out loud. You are not small, and your voice matters. And that belief shaped me as much as my books or degree ever could. I was in his class during one of the most vulnerable and formative seasons of my life. High school is brutal, especially for quiet kids, especially for girls who are too sensitive, too smart, too different. But in his classroom, I was never too anything. In his classroom, I was safe. I could speak without fear. I could write without apology. I could love Charles Dickens and Mark Twain and Shakespeare in equal measure, and not once feel like I was needing to hide away that part of myself. Mr. Stobbe created a space where stories and souls could breathe, and in that space, I grew. He had this incredible way of making the classics feel like they were written just for us. We didn't just study literature, we inhabited it. We crawled inside the metaphors of frost and sat in the stillness of Hemingway's silence. He didn't want us to memorize facts. He wanted us to feel, to wrestle, to respond. I remember once, after a particularly impassioned debate about the ending of The Plague, he looked around at our flushed, earnest faces and said, "Good literature should make you uncomfortable. That's how you know it's working." But the truth is, it wasn't just the literature that worked. It was him, his presence, his voice, his refusal to let any of us believe that we were less than extraordinary. There were times when other students would make comments, rolling their eyes at my answers and whispering things they thought I couldn't hear. But Mr. Stobbe always heard, and he always shut it down. You don't diminish someone else's fire just because you are afraid of your own, he once told the class. He wasn't just talking about me, but I knew he was saying it for me. After school one day, I asked to stay behind, and I asked him about a story I was writing, just for fun. I expected the usual teacher smile, a nod, maybe a polite, "Well, how creative?" But he leaned back in his chair, crossed his arms, and asked me questions, real questions, about the character's arc, the themes I was playing with, the voice that I wanted to be heard. And then he said something I'll never forget. Most people write to be seen, but the real magic happens when you write to see. Keep your eyes open, Red. I've spent my entire writing life chasing that truth, and I owe it to him. Greg Stobbe didn't just believe in writing. He believed in writers. He knew that stories were stitched together with soul. And if you wanted your students to write with courage, you had to treat them with it. He protected our tenderness. He challenged our intellect. He believed in the power of story. And because of that, I began to believe that power was mine. We lost him not too long ago. The news came suddenly, and it hit like a silent storm, rolling in and stealing the air, flattening the world under the weight of what would never be again. I hadn't seen him in years, but he was always there in the back of my mind, his voice echoing over the shoulder of every first draft, every essay, every speech. The world is darker, drearier, without him. That's the only way I know how to say it. But his light, it still shines. Even in the darkness, and in every student who walked into his classroom unsure, but walked out a little more whole. In every writer who found their voice because he reminded them they had one. I often think about the ripple effect of teachers like him. How many poems were written because he once praised a turn of phrase? How many young men and women spoke up in college because he taught them how to argue with clarity and conviction? How many people survived high school because he made 1 hour of the day feel like a sanctuary? His legacy isn't just gold plaques or awards. It's made of lives changed, of voices set free. As a writer, I build characters now. I craft whole worlds, plot betrayals, paint kingdoms in prose. But every time I write a line that cuts clean and deep, I think of him. Every time someone tells me my words made them feel something, I hear his voice. Good. That's how you know it's working. Mr. Stobbe, you taught me so many things. How to wield a semicolon like a scalpel, how to critique with kindness, how to love literature. But more than all of that, you taught me to believe in myself, to be brave, to tell the truth, even when my hands shake. Especially then. You taught me that stories matter, that people matter, and that a teacher, when they love well, can change the world. Thank you for seeing me, for defending me, for never letting me forget that I was never small. And I promise I'll keep my eyes open.